Welcome to Handmade Happenings. I'm Melissa, and today my mom is back for the second episode of Handmade Kitchen.
Good morning. Today we are going to be doing bone broth. We'll be using beef bones from our cows that we had processed last year. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to put the bones on a sheet pan and put them in the oven for a little while to kind of get some of that flavor out of the bones. Now you don't have to do this step, but I like to do this step because it makes the bone broth a lot better. So here we go. I'm going to open up our bags and spread out the bones.
And I assume you can buy just bones at butcher shop.
Yes, you can. We did take these out of the freezer last night, but I think they're still a little frozen, which is not a problem. And we're not cooking the bones. We're just going to brown them a little bit, and it just brings out the flavor.
And the oven's preheated to 350.
Yes. Once you have them in the oven, I'm going to let them cook for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to flip them, leave them another 10 minutes, and then we're going to put them in the crock pot. Timer for another 10 minutes, and then we'll take those out. So as you can see, our bones have browned. They have a nice fragrance to them. They smell really good. So now we're going to put our bones into the crock pot. If you don't have a crock pot, you can use a Dutch oven and do this process on the stove. But thankfully I do have a crock pot, so we're going to put our bones in the crock pot. Now to the bones, we want to add some vegetables and some spices. This is what makes the bone broth healthy, and it's also good for doing stews and soups. So here we go. Now you're going to notice in this bag, it kind of just looks like scraps, which is exactly what it is. I saw another homestead mom who says instead of throwing away her scraps, she keeps them for when she does bone broth, whether it's chicken or beef. So we are going to add this. This has been in the freezer. This is carrots and onion peels. So if you don't have, a lot of times, the actual vegetable, that works. I do have some carrots, and we did not have any celery, so we're just going to add extra carrots. So we're going to add those to the pot. I always add like a tablespoon of minced garlic. I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. I am using Bragg's. You could use any apple cider vinegar. Okay. Now we're going to add our spices. A lot of times they'll call for like 2 tablespoons of each spice. I usually only do about 1. This is a tablespoon of sea salt. I am going to add 2 of the salt. I'm going to add 3 bay leaves. Let's find some good sized ones in here. There we go. And there. All right. Now we're going to add 10 black peppercorns. My granddaughter likes to help with this. She gets to count them out. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Then we have some rosemary. We're going to add a tablespoon. Okay. A tablespoon of thyme. And last but not least, we are going to add some oregano. And this, I just have the grinder one. So we're just going to go all around our crock pot here. I love the smell of oregano, so hey. All right, now we're going to add our water. And this is a 2 quarts glass measuring cup. But we're going to fill the crock pot up. Cover everything up. All right. We have got everything in the crock pot, ready to start. Now we're going to put the lid on our crock pot. We're going to let it sit for 30 minutes.
And that's with it off.
Yes, with it off. So it's going to sit for 30 minutes and we'll come back to it. Okay, so it has set for 30 minutes. Still pretty much looks the same. So we're just going to leave the lid on. We're going to turn the crock pot on low, let it sit for about an hour cooking. And then in an hour, we'll check it again. I did want to mention that with the carrots, I did wash them. I did not peel them. And onions, I used the onion skins that I had in the freezer because I did not have any onions. But usually you would have like 2 to 3 carrots and maybe an onion or 2 chopped up in this with celery. But like I said, really doesn't matter. I had extra carrots, so I believe we're good. So, okay, so we're going to let it cook for an hour and come back and check it. Okay, so we're going to take off the lid and check it out. All right, after an hour, you're supposed to check to see if there's any scum that has formed on top. I've never really had anything, you know, that really looked like foam, scum, or anything form. I usually do check it after an hour. I kind of just mix everything around a little bit. It's really looking good, smelling really good. Just love all those spices. So we're going to put the lid back on and we are going to let this cook for 12 to 36 hours.
And basically, if the scum has formed, you just skim it off.
Yes, you just skim off the scum if there is any. So yes, and discard it. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and turn off our crock pot, unplug it, and get ready to put our bone broth from the beef bones into jars. Now, it has been over 24 hours, almost 36 hours, but not quite. So like I said before, you can do it from 12 to 36 hours. I like to do mine at least past the 24 mark. I think it just makes it really, really good. So here we go. We're going to strain it. And I have clean jars, the funnel, and a strainer. So here we go. And all of this will be discarded and taken out to the chickens. a minute. Let's have an extra pan so I can just kind of dump that in there as we go along. And once again, the bone broth can be used for soups, stews, gravies. There's a lot of people who also just drink the bone broth. We have been smelling this all night long throughout the day, and it has just been really, really smelling good. On to our next jar. And you want to make sure that you leave space. If you're going to just leave them in the refrigerator, it probably wouldn't be a big deal if you filled them a little bit more, but we actually will be putting ours in the freezer once they have cooled down, and we put them in the refrigerator overnight, and then we'll put them in the freezer tomorrow. The bone broth lasts in the refrigerator for several weeks. In the freezer, it will last a lot longer. Probably several months, but if you cook a lot like we do, it doesn't stay around very long. So we have finished straining everything, putting it into jars. We got 4 good jars ready to go in the refrigerator. And like I said, then tomorrow morning we will transfer our 4 jars to our freezer, and they'll be available when we need them.
Thank you for watching. If you want the recipe, I will put that in the description box, and Mom will be back for another episode next month.